Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your WWE TLC 2020 preview and predictions. Little tiny bit late on this because I ended up taking a little longer to make this background than I hoped. Because the background that it would have been if I didn't put a little more effort into it, literally, first of all, it would have been asymmetrical, and second of all, it would have been just Roman Reigns without anybody else on it. So I had to add Kevin Owens, and then I had to make him look like he kind of fit with the rest of the image as best to my ability that I could do in like a 10-minute period, which isn't great, but hopefully it's acceptable enough. Regardless, 6 matches on this show. So I might not have put a ton of effort into the background, but WWE isn't really putting too much effort into bulking out this card either. We've got 6 matches. I will say, though, 5 titles are on the line. But here's the weird thing. This is a TLC show, and there are no tables matches, there are no ladder matches, and there are no chairs matches, which we've grown accustomed to. This entire show is normal matches. We have one Inferno match, or Firefly Inferno match, which doesn't fit the theme at all, but it's going to be most likely a cinematic match. And then 2 TLC matches, and that's it for the stipulations. The other 3 matches are all without stipulations. They're all sans stipulation. So I'm curious, John, how you're feeling as far as your hype level for this show.
I'm glad you asked, partner. We know Mark, that was the first thing he said out of the gate. I'm an 8 out of 10, he said. Now, here's the thing. When you look at the 2 main event matches just in isolation, right? I think they've both been built so well. We've made a point to emphasize that, you and I, on the podcast in our 1 Raw review this month and our 2 SmackDown reviews. I got that ratio right? I feel like I did.
Yeah.
We've really made it a point to emphasize that. These 2 world title matches have my hype at like a 9, maybe even a 9.5.
Jesus.
It's been that good. When you factor in everything else, really dreading the women's tag title matchup, which we're going to get in just mere moments why that is. Raw tag titles actually had an interesting build, especially with Cedric's character work. Banks Carmella honestly could have been worse. I think they just got to stick the landing with the outcome. A Firefly Inferno matchup, I'm kind of dreading it, but I've been enjoying the build sans Alexa, when she's not there. So I think calculating all that, it's not going to take too much of a hit. I'm going to say that I'm an 8.5, just slightly higher than Mark. Where are you at, man, when you factor in the rest of the card? Because I know you're hyped like me for the main event matches.
Yeah, this is definitely the starkest difference between our hype levels for a pay-per-view in a little while, because I feel like it's so common for us to be within half a point or even a point of each other, and I'm all the way down at a 7 here.
Interesting. Okay, but that's still, that's still respectable.
I mean, it's not like I'm not looking forward to the show. I just feel like it's kind of a 2-match card.
And that's fair. I mean, again, I did want to show love, especially to the Raw tag titles, because I think the people involved really have been working their asses off. And again, I love how it's specifically spotlighting Cedric. And again, I feel like Carmella Sasha could have been a lot worse. Again, they just need to stick the landing.
See, really, here's my thing with that. I feel like the build-up to it could have been a lot worse, but I'm not expecting a ton from the match. I know it's Sasha, so the match will at least be good.
Right.
But it's also Carmella, so I don't expect it to be great.
Yeah, really the match I'm dreading the most, partner, again, is the women's tag title matchup, do you want to just get into that now?
I think the match that I'm dreading the most is actually the Firefly Inferno match, so that's...
Yeah, and honestly, yeah.
The way that they've been building that, it really does feel like they've built that better than they've built Drew versus AJ, unfortunately. Like, it feels like the Orton Fiend storyline has kind of gotten a lot more airtime on Raw than Drew and AJ have. But we're still going to be talking about it before that. We're still going to be doing the Inferno match, then AJ versus Drew, then finally, because it's kind of monopolized the main event scene on SmackDown, we'll talk about Owens and Reigns last. But first, like you said, women's tag titles. We've got Nia and Shayna defending against Asuka and a mystery partner, and you say that you're dreading it, and I know it's because you think it's going to be Charlotte.
The silhouette even looks like Charlotte, as I said on Twitter. We're fucked. It's Charlotte. It's Charlotte. Because it's Charlotte. We all know it's Charlotte. And listen, guys, a lot of you that are here right now in the chat, you've been long-standing viewers. In fact, all of you, Mark, Dominique, and Javaris, you're all seasoned veterans of TwitWow viewership. You guys know how many times I've been wrong. I could be wrong again here. Do you know how I'm praying to be wrong about this? I don't want Charlotte back. I haven't missed her at all. Have you missed Charlotte at all since she's been gone?
Of course. If anything, I've been dreading her coming back.
Exactly. I've been having the exact same dread, and I feel like this would be such a great moment for Naomi to return, but they're not going to give that to her. This is going to be Charlotte because, oh my God, the history that these two women have shared, and now they're tag team champions. And I just want to die. I just want to die because Asuka, who's had such a great fucking run, because here's what really pisses me off about it when we get down to brass tacks. Yes, big shock. I don't like Charlotte. You know, that's about as broadcast as, you know, the fucking grass is green, right? What really bothers me about it is Asuka's had such an amazing fucking year, if for no other reason how she personally has been working her ass off in the worst conditions WWE has ever seen. Honestly, to me, makes the Monday Night Wars look like child's play. Because, you know, nothing beats a fucking virus that puts lives at risk, right? Mm. And she's going to be completely overshadowed by Charlotte. Because we know she is, and I know even before Charlotte left, she gave a submission victory to Asuka, but that was after, like, what? Beating her multiple times at every turn? So I'll give you this one cookie while I'm still hoarding the whole jar, right? She's going to overshadow her here. And more pointedly, the writing is going to have Charlotte overshadow Asuka here. And that sucks because she's the Raw Women's Champion and she deserves better. And to be honest, I think that's why I'm doubly annoyed that she's not even defending the title on the show. You're not defending the title when we know Asuka's more than capable of getting a good match out of people. And instead, she's more than likely going to be tagging with Charlotte. Now, again, you know my hope. I hope it's Charlotte. I would freak the fuck out if Kairi got an overnight like just to show up in time, you know, Kabuki Warriors, one last ride. But Charlotte, to me, is just going to make me groan. And as far as the winner, I'm going to be honest, too. I could see Asuka and Charlotte winning. I mean, that a duo of that fucking star power, especially when Shayna and Nia seemingly have been at each other's throats, unless, and here's the thing, here's actually the wild card, is still fucking Lana. Because she's out with an injury right now and she's nursing it. I feel like if Lana was on this, I honestly would have picked them to win the titles. But because she's not, I'm almost wondering if they're saving it for her to have some kind of mania moment at the expense of primarily Nia. Although, again, I feel like they blew their load on Raw. What was it like? Yeah, just this past Monday.
Yeah, when she
beat Nia. So I am kind of torn about this match, but I think when you put Charlotte and Asuka together, it's looking to give horse in the mouth, or I guess like a very temperamental horse in the mouth, not to pick them for the win. So I'm just going to say Asuka and Charlotte win the fucking titles. Maybe their reign will be brief. I don't fucking know. How do you feel about this?
So if it is Charlotte, which I do agree it's most likely Charlotte. Like if I was setting the odds, I would set the Charlotte line at like minus 1,000 or something like that, which basically is like, you know, you have to pay $1,000 to get a $100 return on your bet. But in my opinion, assuming it is Charlotte, there are 3 different ways that I could see it going, and I'm wondering, because there are 2 different sort of actual results for this match baked into these 3 different ways that it could end up. So the first one is we're in a fucking rush. We want to get the title back on Charlotte because we see her as a draw in our misguided ways. This being WWE, of course. So they have her come out. They do her entrance. They do the whole thing. She's the big surprise tag team partner for Asuka, even though most of us saw it coming. And she just stands on the apron while Asuka goes to work. Asuka goes to make a tag in. Charlotte drops off the apron. Asuka gets beat up. Shayna and Nia retain, and then Charlotte attacks Asuka post-match, lays down the gauntlet. She wants the Raw women's title. That's one way I could see this going, right?
Yeah.
And really that kind of splits off into 2 branch timelines. One where Charlotte challenges Asuka literally the night after on Raw, and either A, wins straight up, or B, it gets extended somehow because there's like a count out or a DQ, or like Shayna and Nia come out and beat them up together or something that basically just extends it so that we can get that match then at Royal Rumble. Charlotte walks out of Rumble as women's champion regardless, right? Option number 2, though, is that they actually win the tag titles, and then we wait until Rumble to have Charlotte turn on Asuka, at which point they would drop the titles to whoever's challenging them at that pay-per-view. Maybe it would even be, fucking Lana and Mandy. I don't even know, honestly. Maybe it would be Billie Kay and the Goldilocks partner that she's been looking for. I genuinely don't know. But the whole point is they're not dropping them because they're losing. They're dropping them because Charlotte's turning on Asuka, setting up for a title match down the line. I doubt they would wait until WrestleMania in this situation. And then the third option is that they win them and they hold them for a little while and they hold off on Charlotte turning on Asuka until after they lose the titles, rather than her turning on Asuka causing them to lose the titles. And then they do the world title or the women's title match at Mania, which of course, in all of these scenarios, Charlotte wins the women's title because of course she fucking does.
Yeah. Yeah.
The struggle I'm having in my mind is how eager are they to put the Raw women's title on Charlotte? Because if they're like eager beaver, we got to get it on her ASAP. They're not going to win the tag titles. They're not going to bother putting the tag titles on them this quickly, or at all, because they're going to want to put Charlotte in that women's title picture immediately. And they're either going to want to put it on her literally the night after to try and maintain whatever momentum they think that she'll gain in the ratings, or they're going to want to just have her and Asuka be advertised for a title match that they can then extend out to Rumble to have her win it there. So I think I am actually going to pick Shayna and Nia to retain here under the assumption that WWE misguidedly thinks that Charlotte will be a boon for the ratings and really push matches between her and Asuka leading up to Rumble.
I also want to say, too, dude, in my defense of my pick, I don't think Charlotte's ever been a women's tag team champion, and it would just be another bragging right kayfabe for her.
That is true. That is a good point. Yeah, you're right about that. I also don't necessarily think that she would have to win it here with Asuka in order to get that, though. I think that she could win it later in the year. She could basically, it's Charlotte Flair. She could win it whenever the fuck she wants.
You know, it's funny, and this is just going to be my closing note on this match, because I'm just really thinking it's going to be Charlotte. I'll be so happy if it's not, but we know her return's coming regardless. I saw a commercial with Becky in it, and it really hit me for the first time how much I think I've been subconsciously missing Becky, and how much of an energy she brought, to this division and stuff. And, we don't have a Becky, and again, we have an Asuka, who's been amazing, but I feel like in the writing is going to be overshadowed, and we're going to gain a Charlotte, and it just really makes me hate everything.
Yeah.
So yeah,
God, it's one of those things where we're both expecting Charlotte. I don't think Becky is able to come back yet, though. So in a very technical sense, she's no longer pregnant, so she might be able to get cleared to wrestle. But I really don't think that it's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah,
I don't expect to see her back until at least the summer.
Yeah, and that sucks because I was even going to ask you, what are the chances you think that she's really just going to hit the gym fucking hardcore and maybe take the title off Charlotte at Mania?
I was even going to say, I think if she really the reason I say not until at least summer though is because I think she just really wants to be a mom right now, dude. So
yeah, and she's earned it. I mean,
if she's enough of a beast to balance being a mom with just hitting the gym hardcore and really getting back into wrestling shape, maybe she could return by Mania. I don't know. I think that's very optimistic though.
Yeah, you're definitely right. And again, Becky's earned that time. And no matter how much I hate Charlotte, that's not worth infringing on somebody else's livelihood. So we'll just grin and bear it like we have the other times. And plus, here's the thing too, dude. You're asking about the urgency. I feel like if Charlotte didn't have this big pause, they have had her have such short-term title reigns because they want her to be a 16-time women's champion. At first I thought it was a joke, but they totally want to do that. So
no, they want her to be a 17-plus time champion because they want her to break her dad's record.
Oh, right, so that she can keep using the line. Now they say, they used to say I was Ric Flair's daughter. Now they say he's Charlotte Flair's dad.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the next match. Fuck this.
All right. Well, the next match is another tag title match, but it is the New Day defending the Raw tag titles against the Hurt Business. And I believe it's going to be Shelton and Cedric, right?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, okay. So it's Kofi and Xavier versus Cedric and Shelton. I'm a little torn on this one, man. I'm not entirely sure which way to go on this. I really like the Hurt Business, but New Day relatively recently won those titles, and I don't really necessarily fully expect them to drop them this early. I have a hard time picking this.
I'll say, man, New Day kind of surprises me in a pleasant way. Because after they had their record-breaking tag title reign, I thought every other tag title reign, if they were even going to have another tag title reign after doing that, right, would be very short-term. So I'm actually surprised they've stayed champions this long. But again, I feel like Cedric's character development is more the story here, and the tag titles are just an accessory, a prop for that story. Which, I mean, all titles are prop, but we're not getting into that discussion.
Right.
So I'm actually going to go with her business to win here, and I think I really want to make it a point that Cedric is going to get the winning pin here. Just so, again, he may even pose with both tag titles and be like, I'm the tag champions, and that'll deal. Right?
You know what, dude? Because this is so much of a coin flip to me in my head, I'm just going to follow you on this and agree and pick her business to go ahead and win.
Yeah, because I think another thing, too, dude, is I feel like on TV, and I'm not even saying, like, the last show, right? I'm just saying overall in the story, it seems like New Day has had the Hurt Business number, and I think the Hurt Business' only success has come in singles matches, and granted, they did win the 6-man tag recently, but keep in mind, Jeff Hardy ate the finish in that, so not either one of the tag champs, which I actually think was a great choice, because it was a tag match, and it still keeps the tag champion stronger in that environment.
Yeah.
But I think Hurt Business are due, so I'm just going to go with them. So.
Yeah. All right. Hurt Business for the win. And our final match before we get to the big 3 singles matches here. Sasha Carmella, Smackdown women's title. God, this is scaring me a lot. Just because it seems like they're really intent on pushing Carmella, and what the fuck does she do after this if she doesn't win? But like, you can't have Sasha get her first successful title defense ever and just let it still be a short reign. That's so dumb. So I have to pick Sasha here to retain. I hate it. I hate that it's even a debate in my mind. I hate that I'm even scared that she might lose it here. But for the sake of my own sanity, I'm picking her to retain in hopes that I can double down on being happy and right at the same time.
I mean, yeah, I'm definitely rooting for you there, but on that, on that personal level. But I guess for me, I've had a very clearly articulated vision for what I want for Sasha. I want her to have a long-ish reign, and I definitely want her to turn heel in the middle of it, maybe even sooner. Any time's good for me.
Maybe even around Mania season.
Because, and that would be perfect, because my vision has been, again, I want Sasha Bianca at Mania for the title. I absolutely want that match for the title, so Sasha has to retain here. I want her to be a strong, credible champion, because, Bianca's going to be built up as, she has all the physical gifts, she's this, she's that, and I do expect her to get her win back over Bayley. So, yeah.
Do you think that happens at Rumble?
Yes. I almost didn't catch your question, but yes.
Or do you think Bianca wins the Rumble and gets her win back against Bayley on the road to Mania?
I wouldn't even put it past WWE. Like, in all sincerity, bro, I wouldn't even put it past WWE to do both in one night. Like, she beats Bayley like earlier in the night, and then she still enters the Women's Rumble and she wins it. Wow. But you know that I am picking Bianca to win the Women's Rumble right now. We'll have to see how the bill on television is and the Rumble mini game, and I always love our Rumble interactions because we do a lot here on the channel with it. But yeah, maybe. I just really think that they're going to start positioning Bianca very soon. Like, I don't think it's a coincidence that she's already interacting with Bayley so close to the Rumble, like, after this pay-per-view.
Right.
And you need to keep Sasha strong for that, to shift focus back to that. So Sasha definitely retains here. And I actually like Tavares' idea. If they're going to do this stupid bullshit with Billie Kay, I wouldn't mind Carmella being the Goldilocks partner for Billie. Because I think Carmella, I think she gets a lot of crap for her in ring, but I think she could, like, be a good part of a tag team. And we already know Billie, I think, is kind of, undersold in her presentation as well. So it could be an interesting combination. So, yeah, Sasha to retain, get Carmella in the tag division for a bit.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. You're right that Billie Kay is a heel, but I just have a hard time imagining her as a heel because I just love her so much and she's just so entertaining. But
that's fair, yeah.
A heel, yeah. That's the only pushback that I would have against the Carmella team would be like somebody who's actually really good at being unlikable, teaming with somebody that's so easy to love, and even if you want to say love to hate for the sake of heelishness, like it just seems like a contrast that I don't know if I'd be able to reconcile. But if it gets Billie Kay another tag title run with someone other than Peyton to prove that she wasn't the weak link in the Iconics, I'd be down for that for sure.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens, man.
Yeah, so we actually are both agreeing here that Sasha's going to retain. I hope that we're right. And up next, we've got our Firefly Inferno match. Bray Wyatt, or The Fiend, really, versus Randy Orton. And we know it's going to be The Fiend based on the build-up to the match. And first of all, I almost feel... excuse me, I almost feel like we should be speculating what the hell this match is even going to be.
I don't even know. It's been, I feel like, so many years since WWE's even done an Inferno match that with a cinematic twist, I'm wondering if it'll elevate the concept.
Dude, you know what? I feel like the last Inferno match, you know what? Actually, it wasn't. It was a Ring of Fire match. I was thinking the last Inferno match was Bray versus Kane at that SummerSlam, I think in 2013.
Yeah, I think, but yeah, you're right. They did make a distinction with it being a Ring of Fire match. I think the only last proper Inferno match might have actually been Kane versus MVP back in 06.
Yeah,
but I could be wrong about that.
That's so long ago.
It is, man. It is like
so young.
Like, I'm sorry for taking the reins here, but I just want to say this. I've really been disappointed with what this has kind of turned into, and I feared the day would come. I just didn't want it to. I love the idea of the Fiend being like a psychic manifestation of Bray as that thing that takes the vengeance that he's incapable of taking.
Right, and like the Mr. Robot to Elliot in Mr. Robot.
Exactly, Ashton. Great parallel. And I was really looking forward to when these two would meet again. I really was, because like I was so angry with how, except for when he burnt the compound down, that admittedly that was fire, literally and figuratively. But I was really looking forward to these two meeting again because like I believe in Bray Wyatt. I will always believe in Bray Wyatt. I really do think like he loves the business and he gets it, and I love that he has the creative control that he does. And I'm wondering if he lost a little bit or if he genuinely likes working with Alexa. I mean, if he does, that's his prerogative. But I was looking forward to these two meeting again because I really wanted him to get that revenge, even more than Cena. Honestly, I wouldn't have minded if it was Fiend Orton at WrestleMania this year, just because I felt like Orton really had it coming, for the bullshit they put Bray through in his first WWE title run.
Yeah.
Now it's so sad because I don't even care because they've made Alexa OP. When you give her the status of like, oh, this is a vulnerability of the Fiend, that I cannot even begin to articulate to you. And this is a preview prediction and not a review, so we said nothing about making our preview predictions less negative. I can't tell you how much it sickens me to see that. Because again, and I even said, like, if they are really going with this, he needs to, and I'm going to choose my words carefully here because I know out of context it sounds horrible. He needs to do to her what Undertaker did to Paul Bearer at Great American Bash 2004. And no, not solidify her in a thing of oatmeal, but kayfabe, get rid of her.
Yeah.
Get rid of her. Get rid of the weakness. Because as soon as Undertaker did that, I believe, like, the next night he challenged JBL for, like, fucking SummerSlam. Or not the next night, but, like, a few weeks after, because they did the whole cage match, Guerrero and JBL. And then, yeah, he challenged him, because he's like, oh, now I'm ready to be world champion because I don't have to worry about Paul Bearer. Get rid of her. And I hate it. And here's what it's leading up to, because I know why we're here. I think fucking Alexa's going to cost the Fiend this match. Because the story I think they're really telling, when Alexa's not present, Fiend can beat Orton like that. It's honestly no fucking sweat for him. Orton's going to find a way to get Alexa involved, and that's going to make the Fiend vulnerable, and I cannot fucking tell you. And I'm so close in my rage to giving the game away, and I know we're so close to our year-end awards, but that is going to be such utter shit. Like, I'm going to hate it. I'm going to violently reject it, because it's one thing for a guy you don't like winning a match. You know, boo-hoo, we all deal with it, right? It's another thing when it's such a narrative slap in the face to such a great character, and one who I'm really starting to see the possibilities that we all generated around it, and I egotistically include my thread on the Fiend being kind of a deeper story about mental health crises, because I think they even said that, you know, Mercy the Buzzard was a nod to Waylon Mercy, the psychiatric hospital that Bray stayed at. And I'm like, they could do this really complex story. It's not a complex story. This is like...
I thought... Wait. Waylon Mercy was the old fucking Cajun fisherman guy back in the 90s.
Was it? I thought it was like a doctor that treated Bray in a hospital. Whatever it fucking was.
No, I think you are right. I think that there was like a Mercy... like nurse or doctor or something that we got to see or heard about or something like that. But Waylon Mercy is specifically an old WWF character from the 90s.
Okay.
And the thing is, though, like Waylon Mercy, like a lot of people think that Bray's original character before he got like all supernatural and shit was very heavily inspired by Waylon Mercy. Like back when he was in like FCW talking about how, the Bible and like he was like on his dad's crawfish fishing boat or whatever it was. Like all that shit was very heavily inspired by Waylon Mercy for sure.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
that's more of like an homage to him, and I think that like the name of the Doctor probably was as well then.
And you realize though that even that you put forward, that has more depth and richness than what we're actually being communicated here, because really what this is, because the writing's fucking basic. I'm sure to any casual fan it'd be like, so is this like Joker Harley? Is she like this like almost the inverse of a pixie dream girl, but same effect? And it's like
it almost feels like the inverse of Joker Harley, because Joker is like always fucking Harley Quinn over, and she just kind of tries to look past it because she has like this really unfortunate obsession with him. I feel like this is the opposite of that. I feel like Alexa is the Joker in this, and fucking Fiend is the Harley Quinn that keeps getting fucked over by her.
Yeah, which like I hate it because, and here's another thing too that you just made me think of, and I'm sorry we're kind of staying on this match, but I really hate this match, honestly. Like because I hate what's coming. This also undermines, like, and I know they kind of pushed it aside because I feel like we haven't even seen her in a few weeks, and I'm not saying that as a complaint, but like Nikki Cross being like, oh, he's bad for you, Lex, he's bad for you, gotta leave. Bad for him! Or like, bad for you. No, she's bad for him. Like, because no, like, I don't see it. If that was the case, why would he care that Randy Orton had her? If Nikki Cross was telling the truth that, such a danger, why would he look so concerned and almost like pleading with Orton in that one segment? Oh, please give her back to me, please. And then just handle her with care when Randy handed her off. No, this like undermines everything you've been saying, because now what I'm saying is, no, she's got a hold on him. Which again, like, get over yourselves. Jesus Christ. Like, because at least too, and this is the other thing too, because I know I've been making this comparison, it's not even fair to compare it to Taker and Bearer, because they had a long-standing history going back decades. It made sense, right? Yeah. Like, you saw that and you believed it, right? I don't believe this. This is horrible. So, you know what? I'm going to be done complaining because I don't want to get redundant, but that just to make the point that they don't even have a rich history that could even make me buy this. It's so weak. I'm giving Randy Orton the win because fucking Alexa, shows up, Fiend gets distracted, and he gets beat and set on fire. And God, I hope he fucking traps her in the funhouse or some shit and we get past this, because I'm already tired of this. But yeah, Randy
Dude, you
wins.
know what? I think because it is the Fiend, I am going to pick him to win. If it was just Bray, I would pick Orton, but it is the Fiend, so I am going to pick the Fiend to win. And realistically, there might even be Alexa interference, and it might even be Alexa that helps the Fiend win in the first place. Like, I know that you think that she's going to cost him the match, but I feel like they're trying to juice as much out of this story as they can. And if she would cost him the match already, it would make him want to turn on her this quickly. And I feel like they're not ready to be done with this story. So I think she's going to be helpful to him, at least this early on into their relationship, so that he's actually got interest in maintaining it. So I'm going to pick the Fiend to win here with the help of Alexa Bliss. And it's unfortunate that he needs help at all to win, because he's and he shouldn't. But yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. I think it's time for us to move on, though, to our semi-main event, at least our semi-main event, not the WWE's. I'm guessing this is probably going to be earlier in the show than we hope. But Drew McIntyre defending the WWE Championship against AJ Styles. This, I think, is the match that I'm looking most forward to from an in-ring perspective on this card.
You know what's funny, man? First of all, I agree. I think these two have done great work. There is so much speculation about what Roman is going to do at Mania, because again, I from what I'm hearing, and again, we all know, take it with a grain of salt, the only report I trust is Fightful, and I don't think they've commented on this. But allegedly, what they really want is Rock, obviously, because the whole head of the table, and then Rock comes out and he corrects him. They want to do Goldberg, which fucking why? I honestly wouldn't care to ever see Goldberg ever again. And they're thinking of all these names. So I've given up on Big E being that guy for Roman at Mania, at least for now. I mean, until WWE shows me otherwise. I could still see Drew, though, oddly. If Drew were to lose it here and win the Rumble again for a two-peat, because he eliminated Roman to win it last year, and then he wins it this year to face Roman at Mania, who beat him at Survivor Series, just last month. I could see that. So that did give me pause because they definitely want to revisit Drew Roman. I'm convinced. That's definitely something I think they're going to want to do again. But I am going to go with Drew retaining here because I think, the whole story is, AJ's the veteran. AJ's already been in a TLC match. This is Drew's first ever TLC match. I think it's going to be the babyface rises to the occasion, and nothing wrong with that. I've enjoyed Drew as champion very much. So I do think he's going to beat AJ. I'm not going to overthink it. But I think it's going to be a very fun match. And I think it's going to have some tension, man, because Omos is really going to be a difference maker, I think. And I'm excited to see what he does in the match, too. So what do you think about this, man?
Yeah, what you said a lot. And there's one specific thing that you said that I actually wanted to talk about that's not even necessarily related directly to this match, if that's okay.
Of course.
It's tied into the main event, actually. So, in a hypothetical scenario where Roman retains tonight in a way that extends his feud with Owens to the Rumble, and then he fucking loses the Universal title to Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble.
Ooh.
This is, just follow me here, though. Who's to say Roman couldn't win the Royal Rumble that same night and then challenge Drew?
That would be interesting.
To get revenge.
Yeah, man. I already said
especially because we already know Roman can beat Drew because he fucking did it at Survivor Series.
Yeah. I mean, that's possible too. Like if they're really thinking for somebody to fill that role, honestly, it may very well be Goldberg, which I would retch at. But I actually like
Goldberg is signed to that 2-match-a-year contract, isn't he?
I believe he is. I do believe you're right about that.
Shit, bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, you may very well be onto something, man, because I already said on my Smackdown review, dude, with the way they've built Reigns Owens, I could see Owens being the Mania opponent if you told the story compellingly enough.
Well, yeah, because of how personal they've made it. But I'm more just thinking, like, I could see, because I don't think Roman sees it as personal as Kevin sees it. So I could see Roman doing everything in his power to keep the title, but if Owens finds a way to beat him and Roman sees an opportunity to go after a world title that, he knows he can beat the guy. Cause I think this is kind of also stemming from our SmackDown discussion last night, where I think Roman is genuinely afraid of Kevin Owens. And he's never going to let on that he's afraid of him, but he's dodging him now. Who's to say if he were to win the Rumble after losing the title to Owens, he wouldn't dodge him then and just go after the guy that he already knows he can beat in Drew? Because he did it already at Survivor Series.
Yeah, that's possible, man.
I feel like the heel Roman character that we're dealing with here is a very different animal than the Roman that we've grown used to, who is this big badass, Superman type character. I feel like he really is, at his core, almost cowardly, which is kind of crazy to think about. But at the end of the day, he fucking cheated to beat Jey Uso, it's a very different character than the one that we grew to resent before the cancer. So I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just open to the possibility. To bring it all the way back, though, to Drew versus AJ, I am very confident that Drew is retaining here, which I feel like I've seen more people picking against Drew here than I saw people picking against Drew when he was feuding with Orton for all that time. I think a lot of people are picking AJ to win here, and I am firmly picking McIntyre to retain this title here.
All right, we'll see. I think it's going to be a banger. I'm really excited to see what these two guys can do.
What was your official prediction?
My prediction, I said I wasn't going to overthink it, so I am going with Drew as well. We do agree.
Okay. So that's the semi-main. Let's get into the main event now. Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens. I have said this since SmackDown last night, so it's not like it goes back too far. That's an interesting point, too. Javaris thinks The Miz is going to cash in on Drew, or whoever wins the ladder match. Do you have any opinions on the matter?
I still feel like Miz is going to hold on to the briefcase. I don't think there's going to be a cash in. Although
because we've got to remember that briefcase is eligible until April or May. So if he wanted to, or maybe even June. So if he wanted to, he could wait and cash in at Mania.
It really depends on what they do in the match, because if AJ really beats Drew up, which I'm assuming he will, maybe. But, like, and I will say that they've been teasing a cash-in more, I think, for this pay-per-view than they have any other, like, leading up to this, because, you know, Survivor Series is more about the brand warfare and stuff like that. So I think now we're really getting into those pay-per-views where it becomes increasingly possible. I'm just not ready to, you know, if we're doing the whole no whammy thing, I'm not ready to hit stop yet.
Yeah.
But it is getting to that place.
I think whatever the February pay-per-view is, whether that's Fastlane or Elimination Chamber or whatever the hell it ends up being, I think that's probably the first time that I'd be willing to say, okay, Miz might actually cash in here.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I actually am very sympathetic to your vision there. So then when we go to Roman and Kevin.
Yes. Sorry, I got sidetracked by.
No, brother. You didn't get sidetracked. You were answering our chat. That's totally
right.
fine.
I've been saying this since last night. I think that Roman will retain, but I think that he is going to require Jey Uso's assistance to do so.
Yeah, I'm just going to cut to the chase and say that I agree with you. The only thing that I would add is that, you know, I just wanted to respond to something you said earlier, but I didn't want to respond to it in the moment because I didn't want to take us further away from Drew AJ. I do feel like Roman feels like this is personal in his own way, especially because 2 weeks ago he did that huge beatdown on Kevin and, you know, where he also hit Jey with the chair. And he's like, you should have just took the title, but you came from my place at the table. And he was, like, deranged to the point where if you look at Heyman from behind Roman, he's covering his mouth, like, probably wanting to scream and just not knowing what to do with himself. Like, fuck, I'm in so deep. So this is very personal, I think, on both sides, but I do agree with you. I think Roman retains. I think Jey helps him. Dude, you would be surprised, or maybe you wouldn't be. I mean, you know how the wrestling, like, social sphere on the internet can be. I've seen multiple people say that they want this to be Jey's story and that Jey be the one to ultimately beat Roman.
Oh,
and
Jesus.
I haven't really co-signed onto that, but I will say this, though. Given how successful Kofi Mania was, I'm not going to snub my nose at it.
Yeah.
I'm not. I think they've told a really compelling story, and I think as a character, Jey Uso getting that ultimate underdog victory after not only physical abuse, but definitely legitimate psychological abuse. I mean, again, I know I've laughed about it every time I've said it, and that says more about me than it does the writing, I promise you, but it really is an interesting character beat when Jey Uso gets hit with a chair. His first instinct is to ask Roman, what did I do? Like, that just shows you how fucked up Roman has got Jey mentally. So for him, how broken he is. So for him to put himself back together again as a man capable of being the Universal Champion, that hits pretty hard, man. I'm not going to lie. So I'm not going to snub my nose at the story. I just think, again, much like Kofi, you would really have to make sure you keep the burner hot. Like, you know, you have to keep putting him in the ring with people that it's like, yes, you know, I see it. You have to keep making him, you know, overcome those odds, so to speak. Do I personally want it? No. I feel like every time Kevin Owens gets to actually do stuff, I always want him to be the world champion because he's just so good, and I think he's reminded us again how good he is. So again, I wouldn't even mind if Kevin circled back around and he got his revenge at Mania. But I'm not snubbing my nose at Jey. But all this is to say that I do agree with Ashton. Jey is going to continue to have a presence in really just this Roman character in general, but even beyond the title reign. Like, these two, I think, are inseparably linked. I'm curious what happens when Jimmy gets involved. Like, where the hell is he nursing?
That's what I've seen a lot of people speculating, that, like, Jey will try and get involved and Owens will be able to neutralize him, but then Jimmy will show up and he'll also help Roman. So, yeah, I'm open to that possibility as well. I think at the end of the day, though, my entire thing is I think Roman's going to retain, and he's going to need so much help to do it that Owens is going to still have a legitimate gripe and you know, be able to claim that he's owed another title shot at Rumble.
And see, to me, like, I definitely see where you're coming from, bro. So again, I don't want to be dismissive of it, but you also know my one trepidation that I think I've expressed to you before, and I might even have expressed on here, that I absolutely think that Bryan's challenging at Rumble. So I can't forget about Daniel Bryan either. So yeah, Roman's title reign. I will say that is the one big difference between Drew and Roman is, like, Drew and Roman is too. I can't even say that, like, Drew gets the point there. Drew is a very interesting champion, but I feel like Roman has a far more interesting and unique class of contenders than Drew does. And I think ultimately, and it's not Drew's fault, I think that does make Roman Reigns' title run overall more interesting because we've talked about Big E People have talked about Jey Uso challenging again just because of how compelling the story has been. We've got Kevin Owens, who you can extend beyond a pay-per-view. We've got Daniel Bryan. Mm-hmm. You could trot out the legends if you really want to. Rock would be the only one I'd tolerate because at least with the narrative, it would make sense. Goldberg, I'd be like, why the fuck are you even here? You've got options, and that's really wonderful. So, yeah, I hope this main event. I really do. I think Kevin and Roman have earned the main event spot. I think that the story's been so emotional and personal, and Kevin's never looked better. And I feel like a fan. I really feel like a fan of this feud because I'm going to be rooting for Kevin Owens. And you guys know I've done nothing but praise Roman on this podcast. It is not one of those internet snarky bullshit things. It's just me being a fan, and I'm just a bigger fan of Kevin Owens. So just keep fighting. Fuck it.
Dude, I feel like a vast majority of the people that we know that are wrestling fans want Roman and Drew's WrestleMania opponents, respectively, to be Big E and Keith Lee. And I think that we're also on that bandwagon. And I just feel like there's, first of all, highly, highly doubt both of those things happen. Second of all, I honestly low-key even kind of doubt either one of them happening. As much as I want them both to happen, I'm like very doubtful that either one of them is going to happen.
Bro, you're never alone in the trenches, at least most of the time. This is yet another instance where I'm with you. I think, if I'm perfectly honest with myself, it hurts more that it's not going to happen for Keith Lee. Yeah. For me. Because it was so easy, and I feel like they're going to miss the boat somehow.
I think the really sad thing regarding Big E is the fact that it feels like he is being relegated. And I say relegated not in the sense that like he's being relegated from where he was, 2 months ago, but relegated from our expectations because we thought he was going to get a main event push. And now it's looking more and more like his aspirations are limited to the Intercontinental Championship.
You took his best friends away from him for nothing. Really, that's how it stinks to me right now. I hope we can look back on this dude a year from now and be like, man, do you remember how worried we were about that? And do you remember what they did with him to end it and how fucking beautiful it was?
Yeah.
But again, with WWE especially, see, with Stardom and New Japan, I almost feel less afraid to be all speculative because even the stuff they actually give me is usually really good. With WWE, I can't even let myself wander because it hurts too much. So I'm only taking what they give me. And they haven't given me any inclination. I would say maybe because of how they book Keith Lee, I would still consider him a favorite for Rumble next month. But being a favorite and pulling the trigger are two different things. So we're going to have to see how that goes. But yeah, I'm really hoping for Keith Lee. I've completely given up on Big E, though. I will say that. Keith Lee, I have a modicum of hope left in just because of the booking. Big E, if anything, it just looks like he may win the Intercontinental title at Mania, possibly. But honestly, I would give that distinction to Bryan, too.
Dude, I think Big E might even win the Intercontinental title before Mania. His Mania moment might just be retaining it.
Yeah. So overall, at least thinking about this pay-per-view on its own merits, I would say, you know what, really thinking about how honestly I hate the Firefly Funhouse matchup, or just what I expect to happen and just what's happened to the Fiend character, it has docked my hype a little bit. It's rare that happens where I end a video with less hype. So I'll say that I've gone, I won't be a full drop. I'll still say that I'm at an 8. I think I said an 8.5 originally, but yeah. I think being more up. But dude, those main event matches look so good though, and really I think a pay-per-view card is largely determined by the main events that it has, and these main events look fucking fire. So I think an 8 is fair when you really consider how well built those two matches have been. Has your hype elevated or even diminished at all, or are you still at the same?
Yeah, I think I've actually stood steady at the 7.0. All
right, that's fair. 1 whole point difference, so we closed the gap a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, sir. Yeah. You closed the gap a little bit.
Yeah, that is true. That is entirely on me. So yeah, that's it. So guys, be sure to leave a like as you file out. We had 14 people watching, only 3 likes, so I'd love if we could get a 1-to-1 ratio here. Subscribe, click the bell icon for notifications so you never again miss any of that Twitwell goodness. Check out everything we're involved in the description box, including our Twitter handles. Ashton's pinned tweet is the Twitwell schedule for the month of December, so you can see everything that we're doing, for that month. Ashton's always very good about, taking to Twitter or, whatever necessary platform and updating our audience about, what's changing times, what's being added, what's being removed, all that jazz. My pinned tweet is collecting Q&A questions. If you want to get involved in Q&A, you don't even have to be a Patreon donor, but you will only be limited to 3 Q&A questions. If you want more than that, you can donate $1 to the Patreon. You get 2 additional questions for a total of 5. You can submit Q&A questions through YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Discord. For this particular Q&A coming up on the 31st, I do want to stress, as I keep stressing, it's going to be at 4 p.m. Eastern Time this time around. Normally they're at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, but we're doing it at 4 p.m. because at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, it's our TwitWow year-end awards. We're closing out 2020 with a bang, and I really enjoy these year-end awards. I'm going to enjoy them especially so because I got way ahead of this, and all my awards are done, and I'm really excited to present them to you guys. So we usually do the worst first, and then it's nothing but the power of positivity, as the New Day like to say. So it should be a fun time. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And rounding out the week, we've got, fucking TLC live reaction, 7 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow night. And then Monday, no Raw review, because we only had 1 Raw review for this month. But then after Raw, for those of you in our Discord community.
During Raw.
Or during Raw. We're going to do it during Raw. Okay, yeah, because we don't have to review it, so fuck it. We're going to be doing Among Us. So if you want to get in on that, donate $3 and become a member of the TwitWow Discord. And then I guess even though it's a max party of 10, maybe we could do like a rotation kind of thing. Like, oh, you're a part of this party, so maybe sit this game out, we'll get this person in. Maybe that's something that could work. But yeah, well, we do fucking almost like game nights on the Discord now. It's really cool. I'm really happy about it. Should be a lot of fun. So again, that's only $3. Get you processed right away. Q&A questions, 2 additional ones. It's only $1. Tuesday we have, I believe that's our Patreon request from the Chiefin, Backlash 2000, and that's going to be at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And then Wednesday, we're hoping to cover the Stardom show that's happening tonight on the 20th, which is the headlined by Momo versus Utami for the red belt, and then Julia Shuri double championship match.
No. Wednesday, we're covering the show that happened earlier today. It's going to be Saturday that I have it scheduled for us to cover the show that's happening tonight.
Oh, wow, really? Okay, yeah, I got mixed up there then. I apologize. But yeah, so that show, I really thought we were full steam ahead on wow.
You got to remember, dude, there was a show that happened today already, and then there's another show happening tonight. Like, there was a bigger shows obviously happening tonight, but there was also a show that happened earlier today that we got to cover first.
God damn, Stardom. I was so ready to get, dude, after that tag match today, I was just so ready to get to the big title match.
Yep, there's a 12-19 show, and then there's a 12-20 show. Yep.
God, I know it's going to be good, but that low-key kind of annoys me a little bit. I'm like, I was ready. My body was so ready. So, yeah,
and
guys,
as far as the 12-20 show, we're not necessarily going to wait for that. Like, if that gets up by, like, Thursday, we'll fucking do it Thursday.
Oh, my God, yeah. Without a doubt. So, yeah, I stand corrected. It'll be the 12-19 show. Saturday will most likely be the 12-20 show. But then also on Wednesdays, with Stardom, we do it at 5. And then NXT review at 10. Again, no Smackdown reviews because Raw and Smackdown, we filled our requests for the month. And again, you can take a look at our Patreon for how all that breaks down. So then I'm thinking that, beyond that week should be good because then the week after would be year-end awards and all that stuff. Yeah. So yeah, we got a lot of content coming for you guys. And I'm going to hand it over to Ash and take us home. And I feel like I pretty much did everything. I apologize about that. But yeah, there you go.
You treated it like a TwitWow outro.
I guess I'm still in that groove, brother.
That's all good. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope that you all enjoyed. If you did, like the video, subscribe, click the bell, all the fun stuff John already mentioned. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Twitch. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can also subscribe on Twitch, buy our merch on Teespring, donate to our Patreon like John already mentioned, and share this channel and this video with all your wrestling fan friends and let them in on the best kept secret in the YouTube and Twitch wrestling communities. We are TwitWow, and we are the workhorses of the Y and TWCs. John went over the schedule just to kind of run it back. We have TLC live reactions tomorrow night. We are going to be playing Among Us also with patrons on Twitch on Monday night during Raw. We have a Stardom show most likely on Wednesday, and then another Stardom show as soon as it gets up. That's the show that's happening tonight. And NXT review Wednesday night. And that's pretty much it. We hope that you're looking forward to all that. And, of course, we hope that you're all able to remember to stay tuned.